development. They're the ones who own it. They're the ones who have it. Because we've contacted Konza. We've not contacted anybody else. That's according to us, the person we pay is the owner. If they have engaged other people, I don't know. But we are paying them as Konza Technopolis development. Remember the history of this thing, how it was developed. During the time, I think some of you remember a time President Uhuru was showing young people in Manyani doing, I don't know, ICT, whatnot. That is when these things were being developed. Ardhi Sasa and this one, that is the time that they were being developed and they were being run and funded by the national government. In fact, the second question of why, for 2 years, we operated it without a contract is true. Because we were told it's ours, and no one invoiced us, and no one billed us. Now, the decision we made, because it's very easy, and I don't want to cast aspersions on any of my colleagues as governors, but this is in fact, I wish all counties had such a system that gives you the level of visibility, the level of data sharing within government. You know, apart from the times where there's a mistake, when you're told your vehicle is parked in town and you left it at home, the fact that we can just query it and get to know this number plate belongs to Maruma and so we charge you, that level cannot be attained by any private system. It is in my interest to have the highest revenue Nairobi can collect. I've complained here about how I'm constrained. So I would be shooting myself in the foot by looking for a system that is not as efficient as it should be. So in terms of who owns the system, this is a government-owned system. Where's the contract? We have the contract. We can provide.
Which government?
The government of Kenya, the national government.
Okay. Be specific, because we have national and county government.
The national government.
Oh.
The contract is with Konza Technopolis. We provided the contract to the auditor. They have the contract. Was there competitive procurement? We did it G2G, government to government. And the experts in procurement will explain to us what that could entail. Cost benefit analysis, we can do that for you, because you look at the costs of the hardware, the cost of employing these people, and these are not people who are earning 100,000 a month. You know, that level of ICT development, the substantive chair will tell you, is a bit expensive. But we can actually do a fresh cost benefit analysis, because all other, in fact, I've never seen the author asking, all other counties have engaged somebody to collect revenue, or rather to provide a system, because it's still the county that collects revenue. That's why you are a receiver of revenue. So the only difference is that this is a system owned by the government.
For you to do the cost benefit analysis afresh,
yeah,
when you are going into this contract, you must have done that cost benefit analysis, and so that the advantages of going for this one.
For me, first of all,
so that's what the auditor is querying.
First of all, it was extremely intuitive to see a system that is working, that is able to, in fact, have two systems, not just your system for normal revenue collection, but a planning system for urban development. A planning system for urban development that has, first of all the shape files of the city. No one else can give it to you. That I can point at your house and say, this one is so-and-so, they owe us this amount of money, and this is what they've been paying in the past. No other person has that kind of data set. But we can get the substantive cost-benefit analysis to provide for you, Chair. So we're very comfortable with it as we continue to develop the intricacies of that software as a service, but it is not a different system. There are not two systems. It is, we call it Nairobi Pay as a brand name. Software as a service is not a brand name. It is a way of engaging a service in ICT. But Nairobi Pay is a brand name that the person on the street knows, that the same way I'm telling you, we now have Liquor Pay. The Alcoholic Licensing Control Board have also developed a system just for managing drinks control and management. Was it better than the systems before? Yes, by far. Before this, Nairobi had something by NBK called Nuveta that was not stable at all. It kept giving people the wrong invoices. It was not being maintained well. It was National Bank of Kenya collecting, and that was terminated. Before that, Nairobi had Jambo Pay. I think you know the stories around Jambo Pay that had come up at that time. You know, the company also possibly has evolved and is better now, because I see them providing services in wider places, including now airports and fueling and whatnot. And it's a company that I believe should be given a chance to grow. It's owned by a young man. I was with him at the University of Nairobi, Mushemi. But that time, you remember the challenges it had with Governor Kidero and Governor Sonko subsequently. So those are the systems that have been there before. It would be good for the Auditor General to do for us an analysis, a comparative analysis of all systems being used in Kenya. What interest we have, Chair, is the higher the revenue we can collect, the better, so that we can serve our people. I've told you the constraint I have with how much I'm able to collect every day. Sometimes when it's down, I almost want to beat people up because, you know, there's perishable revenue. If the system is down at 8 a.m. until 10 and someone does not pay parking, they will not pay your parking tomorrow. It is perishable.
So you have to go to concert to find the person to beat. Or how do you beat them?
That was, you know, something called analogy.
Where would you find out?
It does not mean.
Let's give the substantive chair opportunity to go on record. And if you have any question, you ask. But yeah.
Okay, let me go on record first. My name is Moses Otieno Kajuang, Senator from Homa Bay. I'm the substantive chair, but today this session is going to be chaired by my vice chair up to the end. Vice chair and honorable members, Nairobi City County wrote a letter to the clerk seeking a postponement of today's meeting. And that is why some of us made other arrangements. But I'm happy that they have come, because if they would have failed to come today, then the Inspector General of Police would have had to find the governor again. So that explains why I had some scheduling conflicts, but it's good that the governor is here. We can prosecute the matters of Nairobi. If you allow me, I know the governor has referred to my advice in the past, and it has been my personal view that this ought to be the direction where ICT is looked at as a shared service across government, both national and county. Members, you remember the other day we were looking at Kilifi, which negotiated a revenue share deal of, was it 20 or 30%? 30% of revenue, and they were collecting 4 million from the county to pay salaries for the service providers. So it's a big mess. It's a big mess, which can be cured by looking at ICT and systems as a shared service. But the narration is nice, but in this committee, we look at compliance with the law. And Governor, having looked at your technical support framework for integrated county revenue management system, and going to page 6 of 9, which is headed finances, that is appendix 13.10, which you have referred to in your response. Appendix 13.10, on page 6 of 9 of that appendix. It's just before the placeholder for 14. Just the placeholder for 14, you have some signatures there. Go to page 6 of 9. Page 6 of 9, there is a clause there on finances, which says this framework will be funded under a government-to-government revenue share model. MIC and DE will consume a percentage of total revenue collected per month as negotiated and expended in accordance with the provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, the Public Finance Management Act, and attendant regulations. So, Governor, I heard you say it was a G2G arrangement, but this particular clause makes it clear that it must still be subjected to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Would you be able to share with us that process in documentary form?
Yes, we'll share it. Chair, this transitioned into a contract. The Public Procurement and Asset Disposal recognizes government-to-government contracting. or even using what has passed in another government before to contract. It recognizes it. We made sure we followed the law. We had advice from PPRA very closely, because you know these are very sensitive area. This area, if you don't contract nicely, you have 30 people in court against it, other vendors who would have wanted to provide this service, because it is money guaranteed, Chair. So we'll be able to...
What was that other process? Because ideally you'd find the revenue share prescribed in an agreement like this. But this then directed you to follow the law to come up with a proper pricing model. Is there, could you describe to us that process?
I don't have it here, but it's a normal contracting process that includes negotiation to come up with the rate. If you want that process substantively, I would ask, but I don't have it. Yeah, from procurement.
Yeah, because members, you know, we were treated to some story here by my home county about a lease agreement, and we had a procurement person coming and telling us they didn't have BQs, etc. If this was subject to the public procurement laws, and we are looking at an expenditure of about, the auditor is putting it at what? Is it 450? Huh?
On the last revenue, 540.
540 million.
But based on what we want to collect, it can go up to...
Yeah, so it would be nice. I mean, as someone who understands this space, the software service agreement, ICT as a shared service makes a lot of sense to me. But then there must be compliance with the law on procurement, and that must start from having a procurement plan, having a budget, because this is a significant amount that you just can't wake up and do, having a procurement professional doing a professional opinion at initiation or at the end of the process. That must be documented and that must be demonstrated. I don't know whether Auditor General, it's a question you have asked, and whether you've been satisfied that that particular clause on finances was done in accordance with the law.
Auditor, you know, we have auditor and we have a technical person there. Is that something you want to respond to? No.
Yeah, we can
yes,
bring
Governor.
the entire procurement of this as a standalone in a number of days.
Sorry, Chair. Though perhaps there could be someone in the team who has got that institutional memory, so that instead of telling you to bring a carton of documents, maybe there's someone who can give us an explanation that might reduce that need.
Yeah, I thought
Okay,
I had
Senator
a gentleman through the chair that said something about revenue. The gentleman cited to the media personality. You introduce yourself as such.
Leave even that one. This is the receiver of revenue.
Oh yeah,
But
receiver of
the person I
revenue.
want to respond is the director of procurement, because we're talking about the procurement process, isn't it? So I would not want anyone to
Okay.
misrepresent the facts
Okay.
before this committee, because I really respect this committee.
Okay.
I have 100% respect.
But Chair, the governor, they are speaking.
I can't
With your indulgence,
No,
Chair,
no,
all your officials are speaking
I'm saying what I
through you.
feel.
Because you have taken the oath. So you don't have a trust in all of them that they'll give you faith?
I know what everyone does. Here there's a doctor. I can't ask about this.
Okay, because I had somebody with revenue reporting and what have you, and there's a weakness. Chair, can I propose this? Chair, since you had in our, when Senator Dulo was chairing briefing, the even IT person from the OAG, we had a lot of, why don't we propose this? That we do this issue as standalone, we do an IT audit and recommend a forensic, because this spending of 2.7 billion is a lot of cash. So we cannot close over.
You already asked for that.
We cannot close over an issue. I don't know why the governor is excited. His sugar should be going down by now. Unless he's consuming something we don't know, because it's not covered. So, Chair, what I'm proposing is very simple.
That's
There is IT.
you're out of order.
You know,
Senator, just withdraw.
this.
But I've said he's consuming something we don't know. It's just to go on record and say what he's consuming, and we rest there. Anyway, I can't tell what, maybe water. So I replace with water. He's taking
Yes,
water.
Senator,
I think we've had a good meeting so far. Let's not trivialize our discussions in the direction.
Senator, we are on a very serious business, please.
Chair,
Just withdraw that
we
part.
are that is. I've already said he's taking water.
Okay.
Which other thing would I rephrase? So, Chair, what I'm
Governor,
proposing
just
is
relax.
very.
Governor, relax.
Is
Secretary, ask your question, which is
Yes, that's why I'm saying this spending of 2.7 billion in 5-year contract. I've agreed with the governor. He has said he wants a standalone on this issue. And it's also my feeling that if we can do further detailed analysis of this matter, so that for the longest time I've been in this committee when he took over as the governor, this matter has recurred. And I think either the OAG are not getting him, or the governor is not making himself crystal clear, because I can suspect even when you look at the previous year matters, the same issues governor is still raising. So is there a way we can conclude this matter once and for all through in-depth analysis together with the Senate, the OAG and the governor, and then we keep a detailed report on the matter so that we...
Governor, you're saying something to the effect that already that is in the process?
Chair, in the last audit, you directed that the Auditor General does a system audit, which has been done. So I don't know which other system audit Senator Cherargei wants.
But
Unless he's consuming something which...
Governor, I think I've had a very good meeting up to now.
no, there is no problem. I don't need to apologize on what I consume.
That was on a light note. I was just informing you, Chair. Sorry, I apologize. That already that was asked for. And maybe the Auditor General can...
Auditor, do we have a report to that effect on the same?
Because we have never seen it, and that's why it's reappeared.
Yes. We need to know if that audit was done, the systems audit.
Okay, thank you, Chair. From the IT perspective, there was a request for the IT, the system audit that had been requested. So
Has it been done? Do you have a report?
we can only review back to the IT auditors.
Project a bit, don't project
for
a
the
bit.
current status of the system. But they had done a portion of it that was incorporated in last year's report.
Audit report.
Yeah. The
Last
previous
year's.
year's report, the previous 2023-2024. Yeah.
You see, Chair,
Yes,
so
Senator Ambua.
where I'm seated, I don't think I want to hear about part of it, because if we have reason to believe what the governor is saying, and there is no reason to doubt him, that this is a system that goes beyond just collection of revenue. It gives you visibility to a lot more other things in the county government. And if he says then it's a government system, then my understanding of it is that other counties can also plug in. Yeah, can plug in. And you know, Chair, where I sit from Kitui, and I'm very sure you can say the same thing about Taita Taveta and other counties. There is a lot of leakage in revenue collection. The systems are brought, some of them just designed to pilferage funds from. If this system then is what the county government of Nairobi is saying it is, then there will be need for an engagement after the audit, an engagement between ourselves and the county government of Nairobi, and so that we can even authoritatively advise other county governments to acquire or go into whatever contract with the system and raise the funds that we keep fighting about here every day.
Chair, with the indulgence, just 30 seconds. I heard my sister here, the OAG, saying part of the system audit was incorporated in last year. I thought as a committee, we had requested an independent, because the OAG can do special audit, forensic audit, ID audit, the normal audit that we do. So, Chair, I thought you need now to be specific that we needed a standalone system audit so that we can put this rest to matter, because this matter has recurred in many financial years. And I thought, and then maybe if you had the OAG say they have, I don't know whether they were able to have full access to audit the system so that they can give us a report, and then we rest the matter. Thank you,
So
Chair.
OAG is almost asking the same, that if the audit was done in the last financial year, 24-25, do you have a paragraph on the same, or we have a separate report?
So the request was not only on the system, it was going to other issues. So it was incorporated now part of that report for 23-24. But specifically for the system, no, we didn't have the request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Governor, what members are asking
So,
at
Governor,
the
you
auditor,
can see I was right.
Senator Cherargei,
Through the Chair.
ask for the mic.
Oh, sorry. with
I've
the
not given you the mic,
indulgence.
so put off your mic.
Okay.
Just put off your mic. Yeah. that we want to understand that the whole of that system, from procurement, and it's working. Now, if you have documents that you can give us in the matters to do with procurement, and as Senator Ombo is saying, if it is a very good system, then it's something you can propose to be replicated to all the other counties. That's why we are really dwelling on this, not to find fault, but to understand it and also propose it as defenders of devolution, because we want OSR for every county to go up. Yeah, that is the really thrust.
Chair, maybe if
Yes,
I can
Senator Kajwang, then you can pick all of them.
a comment that the governor could respond to. First of all, Auditor General, is this system capitalized in the assets of the county? Because software is an asset. Did you find it sitting there as an asset?
Thank you, Chair. We are in the process of transitioning. So yes, it is part of the capital, but now we transition. Within the 3 years now transition, we give the entities 3 years, and they're able to prepare a comprehensive asset register.
No, Auditor, you know that applies to the other difficult to identify assets that have transitional challenges. But something like software,
It is
licenses, is it captured as an asset?
Yes.
Governor, is it captured as an asset, and what is its value?
I have to check. I don't have that offered.
Yeah, because if it's capitalized on the side of Nairobi City County, then it's owned by Nairobi City County.
You're confusing us again. So if it is not owned by the Nairobi City County, how is it an asset of the county?
Remember, it can be owned by Nairobi City County, but hosted elsewhere. You know, Nairobi City County can rent a cloud, and I think that's a software as a service thing. You are renting a cloud provided by Konza ICT Authority, or are you renting the entire service? Are you? Is it a furnished apartment, or is it an apartment where you are coming in with your furniture?
No, Chair, he had made it clear that the ownership is with Konza, and that the only thing we own is the brand.
No, but if it's capitalized, then it's a different story.
Is it possible then, members, I propose that we look at the next paragraph in terms of response, that is underutilization of Nairobi County Tier 1 server room due to outsourced hosting of revenue system, to assist us to understand that.
Maybe I just make a comment before we go there.
Okay.
So we must establish whether this has been capitalized, and then using that analogy of an apartment furnished or unfurnished, because that's what software service model is. You rent space somewhere. You can rent space and bring in your software, or you can rent space with its own software and you pay, a higher lease. Then, Auditor, the other thing we must confirm: who receives this 4.5%? Is it the ICT authority? Is it Konza? Because the parties in this agreement is the Ministry of ICT through the Information and Communication Technology Authority. So you must also give us that assurance through documentary evidence and trail of transactions. Who is receiving the 4.5? When Nairobi pays it, is it reflected in the books of ICT authority? I think in my view, honorable members, for me, there are only three things to question, which is a procurement process, the payment of the 4.5, who's receiving it, and confirmation of ownership, and that can be established by checking whether this software has been capitalized in the books of Nairobi, or capitalized in the book of ICT authority, or capitalized in both, which will be a scam. Thank you, Chair.
Chair,
Governor, let's see how we approach that.
let me clarify that. The contract, this technical framework was before the contract was entered into, the procurement process. The contract was then done between Konza and Nairobi County Government. And so Konza is the entity that is paid by the county. We pay them the 4.5 fees for management, hosting, and all of that. And let me just say this, even as much as it may not be warranted. Chair, I know how counties are struggling with revenue collection. And me, as one person who's raised ours by 55%, and know the potential, if I could show you what I can see here on my system, I'm sure no other governor has this. From development control to land use planning to management of many different things of compliance. Senator Omboy, you'll want it when you become a governor, because it gives you that oversight. It's not just a box for coins to come in when you're collecting revenue. It is much more holistic. And if I was to recommend it to colleagues, I would definitely recommend it.
Why are you not recommending it, Senator?
I have recommended, one of my colleagues has taken. Is it Nyandarua? Nyandarua County has taken it up. Because you see, all these private vendors, they come and say so much that they can do, but they end up not doing it. Ideally, all government procurement, revenue, including KRA, should be government systems that has that cross-cutting ability to benefit from data. Some data sets only belong to government. So I would recommend this as the best. If I was to start again, I would choose this one again and again. But that process that Senator has asked for, the procedures, is something that we will be happy to.
Can you manage in 14 days?
Of course. I mean, it's something we did.
In 14 days. But Muriuki, is it possible to track this 540 million to Konza?
Yes, Chairman, that if the committee requests that one, you can be able to track.
Do you do that for us?
Yes, we will do, Chair.
Okay.
And remember, Chair, 540 is very little compared to how much revenue we want to raise.
It's
we were talking about 62.
Actually, it's 4.5%, and most
of whatever you collected.
Yes. Yeah. Members, just tie it in with the next one. Then you see how to progress. And utilization of Nairobi County Tier 1. Go through the response. Then you can also tie in your questions.
So again, Chair, this is part of the us not understanding what the system is. Chair, management adopted the SaaS model.
Sorry, Governor.
Yeah.
Just do 9. That is a duplication of ERP software in Nairobi City County, leading to wasteful expenditure. We did 9. 10. Sorry, I was not here during the briefing, so just do 10. Irregular engagement of Nairobi pay vendor. Yes.
So which one, Chair? Do I answer?
Yeah.
Which one?
The Senator Law was here during the briefing. Just do irregular engagement of Nairobi pay vendor.
That is what I've just been explaining, Chair.
Yeah, I think we have covered even that, because you have requested on how you have
procurement process.
You have engaged the procurement process. The issues raised by Senator.
And remember, I've given the history.
Perhaps, Chair, I can guide.
Yes,
what the
please.
people of Nairobi want to hear, Governor, is that we are not putting money in things that don't provide value. So perhaps you can deal with the Tier 1 server room. I have no idea what that is, why it costs 850 million, why the Auditor General is saying it's underutilized. Underutilization of Nairobi County Tier 1 server room due to outsourced hosting of revenue system. The auditor is saying we have put 850 million shillings into a server room that we don't use, Chair. So maybe
Hey, Governor, did you hear Senator Sifuna's?
No, I know that question.
Yes, please.
Which again is answered here. Let me go into the answer and I'll explain. So this is in relation to the SaaS model management adopted, because the county's Tier 1 server room, while structurally adequate just for the hosting, was not at the time fully configured or certified to support a mission-critical financial platform requiring high availability, redundant power and cooling, 24/7 monitoring, advanced cybersecurity controls, guaranteed uptime and scalable infrastructure capable of handling peak-time revenue transactions. The county is working on redundancy upgrades, disaster recovery capability, intrusion detection systems, real-time threat monitoring, high-capacity bandwidth, and specialized system administration skills to safely host Nairobi Pay internally. The SaaS environment provided immediate access to these capabilities, including managed security, automated failover, continuous patching, real-time backup, and performance guarantees essential for uninterrupted revenue collection. I'm sure if you go to Konza, you can see the infrastructure there. Accordingly, the SaaS option was selected to mitigate operational risks, ensure service continuity, and support county revenue operations, while long-term plans for optimal utilization of the county's data center continue. Corrective measures undertaken is we initiated upgrades. Remember, this was done in 2017. A lot of the equipment was obsolete by the time we even get in there. Cyber security enhancements, including intrusion detection and real-time monitoring, have been initiated, and measures to improve internal hosting capacity for Nairobi were undertaken. In addition, a data center does not just host your revenue system. The data center hosts every IT-related, connectivity issue within the county, including our LAN connections, our email. There's so much that it hosts, more than just this software as a service. So that's the point. It's not necessarily underutilized, but we continue, upgrading it. Remember, from 2017 when it was launched to 2022, it was hardly, if at all, used. We found things that we had to be replacing. I've bought servers. I've bought new, what do you call those Dell things? Firewalls, that are required, but not just for this. You have ERP systems. You have, I can show you right now, I have a system that I can track any vehicle of the county, wherever it is right now, know who the driver is, and switch it off if there's a problem. And I see all of them. All of those are hosted within that environment. So this was not, the data center was not for, it's not an exclusive place for revenue system. A revenue system is just one of the things within an IT environment that can be hosted at a data center.
Yeah, Chair, I think that is clear, Governor. The question is, the auditor is saying there's still capacity for us to host that system there, in addition to all other systems. And maybe from their perspective, if we took away the hosting component, it would be cheaper and value for money. Is this tier 1 server room capable of that? That is all we need to do to know. No, because it cost us 850 million, Governor.
It was done by the
same question, then you can answer.
Yeah, sorry.
On the G2G agreement, can Konza then allow you to host that server? And
I would not even ask them for it.
Yes,
it's a bad idea. When they need to change a firewall or to buy new equipment, because this equipment moves every 2-3 years, that would be a cost on us. Right now with this arrangement, that is a cost on them to continue upgrading and maintaining, that hosting environment. And so I would use my data center for other things that do not require as much cyber security, as much, sensitivity as revenue collection. So I will not even ask them for it, unless, let me ask, it is the ICT guy, but just from what I've seen it costs, someone comes and shows you one thing like this, compared 20 million shillings, and you're like, that can do so much more.
Then the question becomes,
Governor,
why do we keep putting money there if it is being underutilized?
It's used for other
Why
things.
do we keep putting money there?
In our data center?
Yes.
Our data center is used for many other things that are not as sensitive. It is still used. We still have to have the main needs that our data center serves. But the kind of cyber security and kind of, just as I've read out, level of maintenance and upgrades on this system. And remember, I told you the cost of it being down just for 2 hours. If it's down for 5 hours, it costs me. There are days I collect 200 million. If it's down half a day, I've lost 100. And even hiring the people to keep running it, I would rather that comes as software as a service. That is, in fact, part of the cost-benefit analysis they will show you is the cost of just the equipment. It is much more. It will take people years to recoup it.
Auditor, the query was on underutilization. That explanation that the governor is giving, do you think then it doesn't matter because they are doing other things with the server center, that they don't need to host Nairobi Pay in this server? Does that mitigate this query?
Thank you, Chair. That mitigates. The concern to begin with was there was no evidence that they had assessed the readiness of the support from that the server room before now they moved they handed over the host to the Konza. So there was no evidence that it had been taken into consideration.
From the initial time, it was G2G, and that's why it was hosted by Konza. That's my understanding.
What he's saying,
yes,
is that if an analysis of the capacity we have internally was taken into account during that conversation, maybe the hosting component would not have been given to Konza, and it would have been cheaper for the people of Nairobi.
And my reading is, I don't know, maybe Governor, okay, Governor, let's see what you have to say about that.
I think I'll just explain for me, and maybe we should just bring the numbers. The cost-benefit analysis and the convention that the world is going to is that if I don't have to buy a pig to have breakfast for one sausage, you know, you can own the pig, keep producing sausages, I'll buy the sausage that I want. The service makes sense where it is, because I don't have to buy servers every 2-3 years. I don't have to keep buying equipment and laptops and whatnot.
Session Chair, we were together in the Parliament of South Africa when our counterpart committee was looking at the city of Kuruleni. Kuruleni is a metropolitan city, hived off Joburg, and it covers the area where OR Tambo is. And so it's a very, very rich city. I was with Senator Wambua and Senator Mwaruma. The city of Ekurhuleni lost 2 billion rands through a cybercrime incidents. And we sat through the hearings of the committee, and we had very interesting things. That insiders colluded with hackers, or hackers working with municipal insiders, infiltrated the city's billing system and manipulated property debt records, created fake invoices, issued fraudulent rates, clearance certificates. In fact, at the end of that session, the chair asked about the instant fines, because they make a lot of money from instant fines, these things that you are handing over to NTSA, but that's a conversation for another day. And the municipality said that it was a management decision to turn off instant fines. And Senator Wambua, you remember how that awkward that sounded. In total, the city lost 2 billion rands. 2 billion rands is easily 14 billion Kenya shillings as a result of compromised systems. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that Nairobi might want to host all these systems internally, but the question would be, what is their capacity? And that's why it's important for us roles, because you don't want a situation where, fine, you've got this nice server room, but there's someone inside that server room who tells you, if you want me to clear your rates, nipe kitu kidogo, and then I can go into the system and do that. So for me, the greater concern should be to assure the people of Nairobi that whether it's hosted on a cloud at Konza or hosted on premise in your data center, that there are appropriate security controls, there is proper integrity to avoid the repetition of what we saw in Joburg. I say that just to illustrate that it's not theoretical. It is something that is happening. It's a big, big scandal in South Africa, even though I think, just like Kenya, they are used to big scandals. They've grown thick skins. So it can happen here if we do not take proactive measures, Chair.
The chair,
Okay, Governor.
Chair, the substantive chair has really affirmed my position. Keep it where the safety, the security, the focus, that's all they do. You know, as opposed to where you will not have the continuous upgrading and whatnot. And it's a service that you want. Yeah. The objective of the county is not to host, it is to get revenue and to get it in a safe way, efficient way, without downtime. So if they can provide that, of course it can be a matter of pride to say today we host, but even where the world is moving, they have less and less physical spaces for hosting. It's in the cloud, you know. So Chair, that is my position.
I just talked about it.
Yes, Senator Wambua.
Governor, just confirm to us, in the contract, do you have a deal on the uptime for?
Yes, there's a service level agreement. Chair.
What's the percentage?
I don't know the contract of it, but is what, 99%? 99.
99%.
Yeah.
And they're achieving it.
99%. For most part, we can come substantively on this matter and explain it. But I promise you, every county should use this system if they are really serious about revenue. Sure. But you see, the hesitation with some people is that hapa they hakuna deal, you know. So Kama hapa kuna kupangana, why should I move into that one? So you stay with the vendor.
Yeah, I mean, Governor, from what you have said, where you're saying it's, you'd rather put your data on a cloud rather than on premise. Along the same lines, I think we all agree that it's better to keep your cash not under the mattress but in a bank. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You missed the substantive part. You just come. We even spoke about buckets.
Members, I think, okay, Nairobi Senator.
I'm waiting for you to call for AOB.
Okay. This horse can't be flogged further, but we've made progress, members, auditors. I think for all of us, we've made tremendous progress on this issue. The more we look at it, the more we discuss it, I keep also understanding it more and more. Let's go to closing remarks, and I would start with the Gov.
Let me just, with your permission, Chair.
Okay.
Yesterday the governor was
in closing or
no. This is just as AOB
okay,
because
okay,
he's here.
Okay.
Yesterday the governor was before the finance committee, and I tried to raise this AOB, but because I was playing away, they decided to call it offside. But now that I am at home and this committee is what I don't want to go there. Governor, there is an issue that is current that I really wanted us to just, even if you don't have those answers now, you need to calm the anxiety of the people of Nairobi regarding this proposal that we hear that you wanted to borrow an amount of money, from a private bank, essentially to be able to complete development projects. And unfortunately today, because we have covered the receipt of revenue report, we didn't go into the main report so that we could see the sort of projects that are earmarked for that conversation. But just to calm the anxiety of the people, you need to explain just briefly the rationale for this decision, the legality of the decision, whether you have secured the necessary approvals from and guarantees from the national government, whether there have been engagements with the county assembly, for instance, on these issues, and just what assurance that once this thing goes through, here we talk about ring fencing of money for specific, purposes. What assurance we can get that, we're getting value for money. Number two, that the money will go to the projects that are earmarked. And number three, Governor, the general terms of that agreement, whether they are legal and whether the people of Nairobi can take comfort that the right thing is being done. Chair, that is the only issue I wanted to bring yesterday. I thought it would be ideal there. But if he can comment. If not, he can say.
Are you able to comment on that?
Ever ready. I'm always ready, Chair.
Go ahead.
Chair, allow me first to explain, as I have said when I started, the biggest challenge in this city has been that we have not set up the financing structures of a capital as should be. And that's why we always operate on a huge deficit. And I was explaining, when I say in 2022 I found pending bills of 109 billion, 119, those have been, 119 billion for a county that was collecting 8 is just astronomous. But that problem will never be solved until you unlock proper financing. Joburg, where you are, is listed, on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and collects so much more. Its value is bigger than South Africa in terms of brand, and so on and so forth. And so we keep exploring what options we have, even as we push, and I'm glad you're helping us, as we push our own source capacity, but we will explore all avenues through which we can be able to sort out outstanding liabilities, because now 119 was big, but it's come to 86 billion. So even as we want to sort those out, how we have a sustainable method of financing the capital, which is why I was very happy to run into the cooperation, because that injected to me another 80, billion worth of projects, not done necessarily by one entity, but worth of projects. 80B would take me 100 years of collecting parking, in town. So, Chair, it is a thought we've had. Now, the law, Senator Sifuna, makes it so difficult for a county to borrow. It is an extremely difficult and convoluted process. Article 212 of the Constitution says that a county may borrow only if it gets 1, national government guarantee, and 2, approval of the county assembly. Then you go to the PFM, Public Finance Management Act. PFM, section 140 of PFM, gives you the considerations. The CECM of Finance may raise a loan on behalf of the county executive, so long as it is in line with Article 212 of the Constitution that I've told you, and Section 58 again of PFM. It must be part of your county fiscal strategy paper in terms of the projects you want to undertake, and the limit is set in the county debt management strategy paper. Yeah. Then when you go to 141, it again gives you other criteria. You look at 141 of PFM. About the limit being set, market value, that it must be the lowest possible cost in the market, consistent with the appropriate degree of risk, meaning you cannot single source any credit facility, because it must be the best market value out there. You must go to the market, and to make sure the public debt level is sustainable. 142 talks about what counties do, all counties, the short-term borrowing that must be paid within a year, that people do for salary advance. Now, if you go to Section 58 is where our problems begin, Senator. Because Section 58 talks about the national government guarantee. That national government guarantee, one, the CS has been given procedures. In fact, Part 4 of PFM regulations, Regulation 177, breaks it down. It's like they don't want anyone to borrow. Capital project capacity to repay loan and interest, etc., the limit passed, and then he loads it onto the national government debt limit. And then he must go to National Assembly and come to the Senate for the guarantee. The loan guarantee to a county cannot be done without the Senate. So that's a procedure. You know, Katiba, PFM 140, 141, 58, Part 14 regulations, Regulation 177, 76, and it's very convoluted. In fact, if we started the process today, we will not finish it in a year or so. So while we're considering many avenues, a lot of what you're hearing out there, my good Senator, is propaganda. If we make that proposal, it will have to come to this House. It will have to come to your budget committee.
So you are saying
the House will have to approve it.
In short, there is no such thing.
No.
Okay.
We've considered, but then again, the limitation of 20%. So you see, such a convoluted process will give you 6.9, which is 20% of voted revenue. I think we need, as Parliament and even the Senate, to look at how we can assist counties to do borrowing, because governments must borrow. You know, the national government says, the president says, okay, I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can collect 1, 2, 3. You borrow the rest. As is, how much can you collect, and then you cut your size. There's no deficit financing. Deficit financing is one part of Chapter 12 of the Constitution that I think we have failed to explore completely in the case of county governments. So Senator Sifuna, if we decide to explore that route, you'll definitely know. But
so there is nothing.
Yeah, just leave it there.
They've considered high.
So how much did you want to borrow, just for my interest, and how did you want to pay it?
If I calculate,
or you securitizing also revenue, or is it?
No, what we wanted to do was to borrow 6.9, which was the 20% of the audited revenue, to target specific projects. When I got in, I found many stalled projects. Some we just need a 20 million or whatnot to move over, while still we are doing our projects. So it would be ring-fenced to those specific projects, but I'm seeing it is not worth it. Either not worth the amount, the effort, or the political process. So what I would rather do is what I've done this morning, that as we continue to do, is to get the debt collector to get me my 62 billion owed to me out there. That one does not need a national guarantee. It is our money. Instead of using, there's something called political capital. You'll expend so much political capital for so little. It's not worth it.
Okay, senators, anybody wants to make a closing remark? Because then I will give the substantive chair opportunity to say something.
Yeah, I'll be very brief because today I'm just a member of the committee. I think while I was following the conversation online, Chair, it will be good for you to pronounce yourself that we have just dealt with revenue today. We have not dealt with expenditure. And I think it's on expenditure that there are great concerns, and we can agree on when the county governor shall appear to address the expenditure issue. The issue of borrowing, and I've heard you, Governor, talk about green bonds, municipal bonds, or infrastructure bonds. Like Ipia did it. You were with us in the Senate. It came, and we know why it suffered. It was because of timing. And there was a lot of politics in it. Even though it was a very good idea, unfortunately, they started procuring before the bond was approved. So now we have serious spending bills arising out of it.
And how much did they get, Chair?
No, it was not approved. It was approved by the Senate. No, it was not even approved by the Senate because it was so close. It was so close to campaigns. And I remember the senator then said, the governor is looking for campaign financing. And that's how it died. So even you, if you are to bring it to Parliament now, trust me, politics will shoot it down. But if you did it earlier in your administration, I believe a municipal bond or a green bond that is ring-fenced and people can see where that money is going to. Maybe it's on BRT, maybe it's on traffic management and control. And Governor, I still insist that you guys as a COG, these things NTSA is doing of taking fines on your roads and in your jurisdiction without your involvement are things that you must address. If you made that part of your own source revenue, we would not be talking about 13 billion. But that can only work if you improve the transport, the traffic control management systems. And you can raise a bond for that if it's done at the right time. I hope that when you look at the expenditure side, there was a famous borrowing of 5 billion. That amount of that money that kept moving from one bank to the other. I think you were in the Senate when you were querying it. I hope it has been settled. Because the last time we checked, the interest payment on it exceeded what you're collecting from your markets around Nairobi. But we can deal with that later. Finally, Chairman, you and I, having been to South Africa, where we have borrowed a lot in terms of decentralization. Honorable members, I'm still convinced that I think it's Section 12.3 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act, which says that the city-county shall be administered the same way as a county. So you've got the law that applies to Homa Bay and Tharaka Nithi is a law that applies to Nairobi. It won't work. It can't work. And it does not matter who's the governor, whether it's going to be Kajwang or Sifuna or Sakaja or anybody else. With the structure that you have in Nairobi, it won't work. And we have seen other jurisdictions, South Africa, which I keep referring to. And I think it's very close to ours. You know, they have a House of Provinces that is similar to our Senate, a National Assembly that is similar to ours, provinces, municipalities. You came up with boroughs, but boroughs was your creation for efficiency. You need to lobby us to find a way of amending the Urban Areas and Cities Act or coming up with a separate Nairobi City County Act that provides detailed, provisions. Like Kampala City, I think Kampala City Authority is established by an act of parliament. Please engage us on that so that you are not just engaging us when the police is chasing you. Engage us on these substantive things so that you can also leave a legacy in Nairobi, that you are the one who reorganize the structure in cooperation with the Senate, and that will guarantee success for anybody else who comes in next term or subsequent term, whether it's going to be 1 term or 2 term, whatever the case. But the structure as is designed to fail. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Sifuna, in closing, some of us have to really travel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I will not take longer than a minute. I can appreciate the skepticism from the Senator of Homa Bay. I personally believe that if we had goodwill from the national government, devolution would actually work. Nairobi can work. It depends on the sort of support, because that same law that you cited has recognized the special needs of the city, and it just requires that there be special support from the national government, although not the way that you did it, Governor, following the law and the constitution, you know. So, and then of course the goodwill in terms of getting money to our devolved units, and not just money, but timely payments out to devolved units. If you follow the debate on the division of revenue, Governor, one of the things, points that we were raising is that we are still using 2022-2023 audited accounts, and there's an extra 500 billion in terms of revenue growth from that time. If you apply 15% of that, it's over 60 billion Kenya shillings going to devolved units. Some of these problems can be sorted out. So lastly, Governor, I am relieved that you have put it on record, and please don't change the way that you changed this issue of ownership of the system, that you come back later and you tell me that you have agreed to take this loan. I think 6.9 billion shillings, you've said it yourself. It is just the anxiety that comes even with the timing. As the chair has said, these are some of the things probably if you propose in the first year of, because you came in and you found all those toll projects from the previous administration. Maybe it would have gotten more support and people would not be thinking that you are looking for money for campaigns. So I think for me as the area senator, chair, we need to deal with the ROR. Chair, I want to request this committee that in the next few weeks, not longer than 3 weeks, I think the governor should be back here for us to be able to deal with the question of the projects and the executive. Thank you, Chair.
Governor,
If I can know your mouth before the governor comes in, let me just borrow Sifuna's mouth.
Senator,
1 minute.
Yes.
Governor, this is food for thought for you. How is it that you collect parking fees in the city on your roads, on your parking bays? You have erected robots, street lights. And when a vehicle that was parked in your parking bay, when it overruns the robots, somebody else collects that fine. I mean, what the chair is saying, I think county governments also need to look the national government in the eye and tell them that some of these revenues that they are collecting from counties, those revenues belong to counties. Thank you.
Governor, briefly, already the vehicle for Senator for Kitui is facing Kitui. You are domiciled here. Let's see. In closing.
Thank you so much, Chair and colleagues. I call you colleagues because I was in the Senate, and I'm very proud of the time we had here and what we were able to achieve. I thank you for the time that we've spent looking at these issues. There are many things to be considered. If I start with the issue of financing, and it's true, South Africa has a similar structure of a unitary state, but with fiscal decentralization. And the mayor of Cape Town, a good friend of mine, is called Jordan Hill. In fact, I was trying to organize for you guys to meet him. He's a young man, I think 2 years younger than me. He's now the leader of the opposition party there, just like my brother here is also, you know. And, you know, there are a lot of similarities, but the creativity of structuring, financing, you know, products for a capital city is extremely important and must be figured out, you know. No matter how you try it, until you figure that out. I've been with colleagues from across the world who, when I explain to them the predicament, how much we have versus the number of people we must serve versus the number of staff we have. You know, when I say I have 19,000 staff, you think it's many. But that same Paris I told you of 2 million people has 53,000 because those are service areas. So I really like the idea by Senator Kajwang about you know, looking at special legislation for posterity around the governance of the capital city. But then I also agree the goodwill and the nature in which the national government, and for me I've been, you know, fortunate to an extent, you know, in terms of things I've been able to get done because of partnership with the national government, but it should not depend on the relationship of the day. You know, it should not be depend on that because I and the president and the same party things will work. No, it must be something that is hardwired because this is again a city that produces almost 30% of our GDP. You know, for the whole country, and so we must look at it like that. The NTSA fines. I told Senator Kajwang that I'm waiting for them to put the infrastructure. Because if you go to Dubai, the whole of Dubai police and their salaries, equipment, vehicles, etc. are funded by the road fines. Completely. There's no other appropriation that are done to them. We did a study here on the 200 junctions that we're doing. Each junction will produce 1.5 billion in terms of fines. And it's small fines of seatbelt, you know, you've crossed 1,000 shillings, you've oversped or you've overlapped. So let them do the infrastructure, but we know our position on it. Because now they'll say, okay, let's not do it, you guys, mujifanye. So what we're very clear on is any infraction on, first of all, as a bare minimum, on county roads belong to counties. That I am extremely clear. We can debate now Kenha roads, national roads, which are very few, that we can debate. But 70% of the road infrastructure in this country is county roads, so really that should come to us. I think, Chair, I'll leave it at that. I'm always happy to come to this house, and let's look forward to our next engagement. Thank you so much for your time, all of you, Senators.
Let's end it here, members. We've looked at the ROR. Would have opportunity to look at the expenditure side. That is the executive report. As soon as possible. The Senator is proposing 3 weeks. Just find out when we can have opportunity to meet them. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, but then on the issue of money for campaign, I'm looking, please, if you know people who can contribute, I'll be very happy. Thank you.
So you have a friend
We're
called...
adjourning until Monday at 9:30.
If we went to these people's houses, Governor, we can raise campaign money.
They have 60 million.
Chanja from Office of Control of Budget. Chair.
Johnson, do solemnly swear that
CC for Finance and Economic Planning. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Tiras Njoroge, the Nairobi City County Receiver of Revenue.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. My name is Asha Abdi. I'm the Chief of Finance.
Good afternoon, Chair and Honorable members. My name is Boniface Wawero, the Acting County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Chair, Honorable members. My name is Susan Silantoi. I'm the CEC for Health, Wellness and Nutrition.
Good afternoon, Honorable members. My name is Paul Mwangi, Revenue Reporting.
Honorable Chair, Honorable members, Marshal Wekenda, Chief Officer Mobility, Acting and Chief Officer Lands. Thank you.
The rest of the contingent might need to stand so that we can see you. Okay, they might need to stand all the same.
All protocols observed. My name is Nicholas Paina, reporting team Revenue Administration.
Members. Good afternoon, honorable members. I'm Dr. Nancy Dalla, the Chair of the Audit Committee in Nairobi County.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. My name is Francis Njoroge, Internal Auditor Director.
Through the Chair, good afternoon, members. My name is Job Mora, Head of Press.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members. My name is Justin Muli, PA to Governor.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Patrick Wanjohi, Director Accounting Services.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Bidan Degwa, Assistant Director Accounting Services.
Is that all, Governor? Okay, Clerk, please administer oath to the Governor.
Thank you, Chair. I, Sakaja Arthur Johnson, do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, please also table the documents that shall rely on this engagement.
Chair, you will bear with me. You can hear my voice is not how it normally is.
It's okay.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I hereby table the following documents before the committee. Number one, management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the County Executive of Nairobi City County for the year 2024-2025. Secondly, management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the receiver of revenue statements for the County Executive of Nairobi City County for the financial year 2024-2025. And Chair, management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the County Revenue Fund for the County Executive of Nairobi City County for the financial year 2024-2025, Chair.
Thank you, Governor. Auditors, did you receive the documents in good time, and do you think we are ready to proceed?
Yes, Chair, we did receive.
Beautiful. Clerk, did you receive our documents in good time?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm that we did receive the documents in good time, and we should be able to proceed.
Beautiful. Governor and members, as a preliminary matter, on Wednesday, 25th March 2026, you are summoned to this committee, but you did not appear. And on that same date, you are fined as a resolution of the committee Kenya shillings 500,000 that you are to pay in your personal capacity. Clerk, did the governor honor that fine? Did he pay?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm that the governor has already paid the 500,000 fine.
Okay. So members, I don't think we need to belabor that because there is...
Chair, just on preliminary. Governor, I have seen you have 2 senior positions that are acting, and they are critical with your indulgence, Chair, for the running of the county. You know, Nairobi is not just a county, it's a city county. And your senator normally refers to some of us as rural senators. My only concern is there are limitations of an acting. I've seen you have CCM acting finance, and I think acting county attorney. Could you just tell us, because, you know, for the running and efficiency, the county public service board, what is the status, so that we know the county is running as it should be? Why are you having most of your senior officers as acting? Thank you, Chair.
Governor, although they're just 2, they're not most. Governor can respond.